Was trending. In the wake of the scandal rocking the Humanitarian Affairs Ministry, which led to the suspension of its minister, Dr. Betta Edu, and the investigation of her predecessor, Sadia Umar Farouk, a video of the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ola Olukoyede, when he appeared before the Senate for screening, has surfaced online. In the video, the chairman said the sum of 2.9 trillion naira meant for some government projects was diverted for personal use by contractors between 2018 and 2020, adding that the stolen funds during the period under review would have been useful for government projects if the anti-corruption agency under the past administration had prevented the funds from being diverted.
I did a survey between 2018 and 2020 of 50 entities in Nigeria. 50 entities, both human and corporate entities, between 2018 and 2020. And I picked just one scheme, one species of fraud, which is called contract and procurement fraud. And I discovered that between 2018 and 2020, 3 years, Nigeria lost 2.9 trillion. 2.9 trillion. Now, when I put my figures together, I discovered that this money, if we had saved, if we had prevented it, would have given us 1,000 kilometers of roads. In addition to that, we would have built close to 200 standard schools, tertiary institutions. In addition to that, we would have educated about 6,000 children from primary to tertiary levels at 16 million per child. We would have delivered 20,000 units of 3-bedroom houses across the country, and even more. We would have given us a world-class teaching hospital in each of the 36 states of the Federation. This is where we are coming from. This is where we are. Where we are going to go depends on the decision we take this afternoon. Thank you very much.
All right, we can see here the EFCC chair during his screening. He has remained resilient. If you recall, he has talked about the fact that he is sparing no one in any of these allegations. No one is above the law. Well, in the meantime, the chairman has also raised the alarm that the quest for bribes by EFCC investigators has become too embarrassing. He made the comments during his New Year address to the agency on Thursday. Olukoyede said the major objective of the war against corruption and financial crimes globally is to drive economic development, to create job opportunities for the populace, adding that public opinion about the conduct of some EFCC investigators are adverse, and called on the investigators to show integrity and discipline. He further warned that he will not hesitate to wield the big stick against any form of infraction by any staff of the commission. Well, all of this is coming as the House of Representatives Public Accounts Committee has ordered the Ministries of Health and the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Investment to refund unutilized funds meant to mitigate the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. The committee gave the order during its investigative hearing, stating that the total sums, of which amounts to 600 billion naira, have not been utilized.
It's very, very, very important for those who haven't come and haven't sent in any communication to show that they had a justifiable reason for not coming. We will be taking a position that those issues in investigation are resolved against them.
I had it here. I was actually waiting for us to finish so that I would tell you. I've had it ever since that we have 10 billion.
Madam, you have a submission here. This is your submission.
Yes.
This is your documents.
Yes.
We are a house that deals with documents. We don't. The oral testimony cannot override whatever is not included here. And in the whole of your document, there is nowhere you indicate or indicated that you have a 10 billion naira sitting or lying somewhere that has not been used. Former permanent secretary and the current permanent secretary are affected by this motion to refund the sum of 75 billion naira back to the federal government as COVID-19 intervention fund, which, as far as we are concerned, has not been expended. Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, the permanent secretary, is hereby ordered to cause a refund of a sum of 75 billion naira back to the Federation account within 7 days and present documents to indicate such a refund unfailingly.
Welcome in development. I mean, you saw there the permanent secretary for the Ministry of Health, Dajum Kachalum, saying that they have 10 billion naira of COVID funds in their account. Just so you know, this is not a new investigation. It's been ongoing since 2020. And at this point, we're hearing that 10 billion naira of COVID funds is still there. He's ordered 75 billion to be refunded by January 22nd. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, Oju, you know what stuck out to me in this instant was the fact that as she was being questioned, the 10 billion wasn't written in any of her submissions.
Absolutely
it was an
not.
oral submission.
Yeah.
So that connects back to our first story, which is the cost of corruption, or in this instance, it's omission. Let's not call it corruption because this is an ongoing story, but the cost of corruption by Ola Olukoyede, excuse me. And it reminds me about how much we've normalized what I call contractpreneurs.
Yes.
There is a whole economy of people whose livelihoods bank purely on waiting for people to come into office so that they can benefit from contract and procurement fraud. We've normalized it. It's become part of our daily living. We know, my man is in office. People have packed up to leave Lagos and relocated to Abuja because their man is in office. And it's unfortunate, and I hope that this doesn't end at revelations. This doesn't end at exposés. I really do hope that what needs to be done happens. The necessary steps are taken in order for us to curb this as a norm and a cost of doing business.
It's absolutely not a norm. It is unfortunate and unacceptable. Before I come to you guys, the former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Olisa Agbakuba, who was on our nightly news program Primetime, charged President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to summon the courage to confront Nigeria's social, political, and economic problems by embarking on major constitutional reforms. He said Tinubu must crush those against Nigeria's democracy.
I would emphasize that President Tinubu must crush the evil. These are devils that are stalling Nigeria and making us look foolish. He has to crush the people who don't want democracy. That's my view.
All right,
I don't care if you like it or not. That is my view. I know you're not happy I'm using strong words, but this is the time to use strong words. Democracy or not democracy, we have suffered enough. We have suffered enough in this country. How can I pay my driver 100,000? No, please listen to me. How can I pay my driver 100,000 for him to buy rice for 60K? Because we have people in Abuja stuffing all our money. The nonsense must stop. The nonsense must stop. And the president of Nigeria must be the person to lead this crusade in the context of a constitutional process. That is what I'm saying to you.
SAN Olisa Agbakuba couldn't have said it any better. The nonsense has to stop. Yes.
The nonsense, the wickedness,
yes.
The French will call it machin. The madness must stop in this country.
Absolutely.
Because you see, the madness too that also makes it very funny when you see family relative of the president going on an official assignment with him must stop. The madness of the entourage must stop. The madness of deficit, but humongous budget deficit and printing of money through ways and means must stop. The madness of corruption. Apparently all the monies that we took, you know what hurts me the most about that money? We took those monies at loan, special drawing rights. We printed money. That's what's causing inflation today, and people have the nerve to steal it. Look at that person talking at the House of Rep. She wasn't even decent enough to put forward the money. She said it on interrogation. That madness must stop. The contra scam must stop. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala wrote a full book on contra scam. There's a part of it called judgment debt, where people will ensure that government does not do the contract so that they can take government to court. It's civil servants too that will take government to court, connive with the contractors, collect judgment debt for them. There's one of them. Secondly, then the contract scam itself. They go there for the contract, they inflate the contract. That one they get 20 or 30%. They inflate the contract, they don't even get to do it in the end. The third one, they deliberately stall on the contract. They do not do it so that at the end of the year, they will use mago to retire the money to their own pockets and private accounts. That's part of the things you are seeing that's happening now that is coming to light. That's why you see that COVID-19 money, when people were suffering and crying for palliative, come on, Indomie, they couldn't give them, but billions in government purse. Yeah. And if they didn't ask questions, they were looking for a way to colobi that money and put it in their colobi pocket or send it abroad in their accounts. The madness must stop. The madness in the civil servant. That's what the EFCC chief is saying. The madness of EFCC interrogators must stop. 2.9 trillion in 3 years. And that's why I've always argued against a big budget, because we still are wasting money. Nigeria does not need a 28 trillion budget. Half of the money is stolen. Yeah. If 2.9 trillion can be stolen in a space of 3 years, look at the naira to the value dollar. Look at the price of that 2.9 trillion. What it can do over 1,000 kilometers of road, healthcare institution and all of that. And people do not see the dividends of democracy because some people are stealing the money and you're giving humongous money. Just cut the budget so that we have a small amount. Then we all share that amount and we have financial fiscal discipline. because we are printing money, we are wasting money, we are stealing the money, and you say people are not, and when we tell them, they say they're emotional. If you don't see the price of destruction in your country and you don't talk about it, you are worse than you fool yourself. Yeah. Because this country has gone down the drain. Oji, in the late 80s, they used to make a joke that an Alhaji from Cotonou said he was giving his Nigerian babe or girlfriend 1 million. But the babe did not know that the money is 1 million CFR. Because 1 million CFR then was 16,000 naira. Oji, today, CFR is more than the naira. It is close to 2 to 1. It's 1.6 to 1. 1 million CFR that used to be 16,000 naira today. 200,000 CFR is close to 500,000 naira. And we are sitting on a keg of gunpowder. We are not telling ourselves the truth. I feel pain for this country. Yeah. I feel pain for this country. And they don't even listen when we say these things.
Yeah, I mean, this is outrageous, Ayo. I mean, you can hear Rufai so emotional here. I mean, the EFCC chairman raised that alarm back in October, talking about contract fraud, because that's what I call it, contract fraud. And we see these things. We see the COVID-19 funds being diverted into personal accounts, and now we are hearing that even our ministers are part of that fraud, and nothing is being done.
All right, so I also like what I think Wembai called it contract penure. It's so bad that some people, even with appointments, you have to even track it from appointing personnel into certain ministries, departments, and agencies, because they are strategically put in there to strategically give out contracts to strategic people, just to propagate this corruption that has outlived different administrations. And the truth is that a lot of people know these things, but we've just endured, we've just kept at it. And that's why maybe we started to, I love what the EFCC chairman, and by the way, kudos, he started on a fantastic note. The chairman, Olukoyede, has started on a fantastic note. And I'm hoping that he will continue, because usually they start well, but along the line, some things happen. And he cited the reason that some of the investigators themselves are complicit. Yes. They are compromised. They collect, they are the ones sometimes that will go and ask for a bribe, I'll help your case. So maybe the first thing, and I'm glad that he's starting from his own house to sanitize the EFCC internally. He said he's not going to stop at wielding the big stick to erring officers. So I hope he does that. I hope he makes examples of some of these investigators, and that he acts as a deterrent to others who would want to do that. Now, going back to the cost of oil, when he was saying those things, the moment, as for everything he said, my heart would shake. 1,000 kilometers of road, yet people are dying on our Nigerian roads because of accidents caused by bad roads. So what I'm saying is that it's not about stealing money alone. So even speak to the thieves themselves who think, oh, nobody's been hurt. People are dying as a result of corruption. Corruption is one of the biggest bane of this nation. He talked about 20,000 units of bed spaces, I believe, in maternity centers. Yet we have very high maternal mortality rates. So it means that in 3 years, there could have been a significant change in that industry. He talked about a world-class hospital in every state of the federation. Yet we keep exporting healthcare because we can't afford. There are hospitals that are all world-class. Not many. You can count on your fingers how many world-class hospitals. So they are not just stealing our today. They are stealing the future of Nigeria. And that is why I'm hoping that the EFCC as an agency will clamp down on corruption. Beyond the speaking, what we've asked previous chairman is this: give us good convictions. Yes. Don't give us the little ones that, okay, this person fraud. Yeah, those ones exist. Give us the past government officials, like these PSCs who are not able to account if they are found culpable, if they are not able to account for the monies in their account. Do you know what that 10 billion was meant for? To build a vaccination center during COVID. Do you know what they should have even done? They should have probed the amount of money used for a vaccination center for what would have been probably because maybe they would have converted the building. Because vaccination at the time was needed because there was a pandemic. Following that, was there a plan for what they would use the building for? Was it going to become a world-class health center for 10 billion naira? And then, so not only did they keep the money, they deprived the people of having a vaccination center. So these monies are supposed to be, I don't agree that they should cut down the budget. I think that the budget is insufficient if you look at the size of the population. The only problem that we have is that it's not being used for the people. It's not even enough. If you look at money allocated to education, not enough, to health, not enough. So what is not enough? You are stealing from it and stealing from the people.
Let me reiterate, Ayo, it's 600 billion. 600 billion naira that has not been accounted for. We'll wait for the investigation. Shall we share some cherry news? Well, the Minister of State for Labor and Employment, Nkiruka Onyejocha, on Thursday revealed that the federal government will soon pay the 35,000 naira